Welcome to Global Investment Voice, your premier podcast for diving deep into the world of investment migration. Are you dreaming of a second or third passport? Then join us as we traverse the globe, exploring the ins and outs of the U.S. EB-5 immigrant investor visa, uncover the secrets of golden visas, and delve into the many residency and citizenship by investment programs. Each episode is packed with exclusive insights from top industry experts. Whether you're an investor, developer, or a visionary entrepreneur, we're here to guide you through the complexities of global investment migration. And who better to navigate this journey with than your hosts, the dynamic legal duo of this industry, Mona Shah and Rebecca Singh. Plus, hear directly from a lineup of global investment migration leaders. So, buckle up and tune in to Global Investment Voice, where your global investment journey begins and expands.
Hello, everyone. It seems as though travel bans are synonymous with the Trump administration. And recent suggestions are that this administration is considering banning people who have obtained their citizenship from the CBI countries, the Citizenship by Investment countries. For this purpose, and I'm sure that you're going to hear about this a little more, even prior to the travel bans, the CBI countries have agreed on a number of reforms. These reforms include a mandatory residency clause and biometrics. And here today to discuss this, we have, back on the seat, Sam Bayat.
Hey, hello. Hello, Mona. Hello, everyone.
How are you?
Very good.
All right. So it seems that, first of all, let me ask you, so far it seems that only St. Kitts and Nevis have really come in on a reform requirement. Correct?
Yes, correct. They have actually proposed some radical changes to the way citizenship by investment is being promoted and being given to people who are applying. Dominica will soon follow with its own legislation, which is in the making. And it seems the 4 Caribbean countries that have an issue with the U.S., except Grenada, are looking actively in order to safeguard their access to the U.S. because it has nothing to do with the citizenship by investment. It has to do about satisfying their local population because, as you know, Caribbeans travel frequently to the U.S. to visit family and for work.
Well,
so
right.
For them,
right.
So for the local population, the Caribbean, call them the belongers, for them not to have access to the U.S. because there's a ban, whatever the reason, that is catastrophe.
Well, yes. And I also think it's catastrophic for people who want to buy into the CBI program as well. As we know, a number of citizens from other countries which are banned are looking at the CBI countries as a means to get into the US. So whether the US is trying to curb that, whether they actually want reforms, I think you'll agree that some amount of reforms are needed, and they've been needed long before this time.
Oh, absolutely. Reforms are a must. They have to come, they have to be implemented. There's no doubt about it. But looking at the Caribbean in general, particularly the 5 countries that have the citizenship by investment programs running, their concerns are A, the US, B, UK, C, the European Union, which is particularly the Schengen zone. Now, the priority, in my opinion, for the Caribbean countries having a CBI is to make sure they are not on a US ban because A, it will affect directly the local population, which they're not going to be happy at all. And then 2, the citizens, the economic citizens that have bought into the program. And of course, C, the future applicants, So that's their main concern. And I think by far their priority is the local population, because if their local populations have visas and can't apply or can't go because they have the visas, they have a hot potato scenario on their hands.
Right. So just recently, Prime Minister Drew did recently suggest that there were going to be a number of reforms made. And one of these reforms was a residency clause, along with biometrics. So the residency clause, I know a number of you guys have weighed in, people who have been dealing with this area for a long time. So industry experts, I will call you, but you have weighed in with your opinions on the residency clause. At this point, Sam, I believe the residency clause is 30 days?
Well, let's go back one step.
Okay, go ahead.
The way we, the experts, or the way the world has evolved so far has been in a way where you first get a residency, you somehow establish yourself in that country. For example, in the US, you get the green card or the permanent residency, you come in, you fulfill a certain conditions, and then you apply for citizenship. And once you have your citizenship, there's no requirement because now you are a member of that society forever. The first question we got to ask ourselves is that why are the Caribbean thinking of imposing conditions post citizenship? The issue that the Western
Oh,
governments
I'm
have,
sorry, Sam. Are you suggesting? Is this what the suggestion is?
of course,
My understanding was that these residency clauses were for new cases. Are you saying
no,
they're for older cases?
no. It's not going to be. I don't know about older cases, but the way they are, they have written in there are new laws that they want to incorporate. Uh,
Yeah,
their suggestion is that economic citizens, once they have their citizenship, then they should travel and stay a certain numbers of days. 30
right,
days seems to be the number,
right,
which is really, I think, the whole concern is who should be a citizen and what are the conditions. So, therefore, the residency period must be applied to people prior obtaining citizenship, not after, I mean, if you go back in time when Antigua implemented their citizenship by investment, they came out with a rule that every citizen within the first 5 years of citizenship must travel to Antigua and Barbuda to in order to renew their passports, which was a 5-year passport. And it
right.
didn't work out at all. No one wanted to apply to that program. Now, for the Caribbeans to come and suggest a 30-day residency, regardless if it's post or pre or post citizenship, it's an issue. But my main concern is there should be residency prior to citizenship. Now, if they're doing these things, it is to, if they're implementing the citizenship or the residency requirement, either post or pre, if they are going to issue passports which are 5 years rather than 10 years, all these are to basically satisfy Western governments and to tell them that they have a great process in order to naturalize these economic applicants or citizens or foreigners.
Mm.
So, in my opinion, residency should be part of the process prior to obtaining citizenship, not post.
But don't you think I mean, look, the CBI programs are already under fire in so many ways, and they have suffered from recent, increases in prices and what have you. So they are struggling to get people in. If you're going to request a mandatory residency from the outset, don't you think you're going to put off new investors?
Oh, definitively. Any residency requirement, any form of deviation from the old model of which has been there for years, which was a very simple passive program where you submit documents, they evaluate you. If you're of good character, you pay your money and you get the citizenship and passport. Anything that's going to deviate from that, it's going to reduce numbers of applicants.
Of
To
course.
what degree, I don't know, but for sure it's going to be a downward curve. I think the 30 days post citizenship might be a little easier to swallow, and that's probably why they want to make it post citizenship, because then at least at that time citizens can travel far easier, especially citizens that don't have great mobility with their original passport. So once they acquire, for example, St. Kitts or Dominica or St. Lucia, it's far easier to come from where they live or their country of origin to the Caribbean. But my
Mm.
point is, would that satisfy the Westerners? Now, internally, I have good reasons to believe I've spoken to some high level people in the Caribbean, decision makers, and it seems what they are going to propose will satisfy the US, and I think will avert the US ban. Okay. So that's good news. But that's going to satisfy the local population. And economic citizens that have already obtained their citizenship, because if they want to go to the US, well, now they can't. They just have to apply for a visa, or if they have visas, they can go with the visas they
But it
have.
just explain something to me, Sam, which is something I'm really having trouble understanding. If the US and UK and other Schengen countries have an issue that with people coming in from the Caribbean, the CBI folk, what difference does it make if that particular person has stayed for 30 days in the country?
In that particular country. Well, the residency requirement is going to address the fact that we're going to have a visual of the person. The person will come in, they'll take biometrics, they'll know for sure who that person is, which I've always mentioned to the Caribbean countries that if they really are concerned about the identity of applicants, they can use a VFS model. I mean, if you look at Canada, if you look at UK, if you look at the Schengen zone, all the applicants applying to these countries, if they have not had a biometric, if they have not given their biometrics, fingerprint, signature, and digital photo, they have to go to VFS or BLS, all these offices, which have a mandate to identify properly the client and also their documents, original documents, and also the mandate to make sure the forms are properly filled and all the required documents are there. So if due diligence was a big issue in this way, well, they can easily send them to VFS. I know for a fact, I think VFS has about 2,300 offices worldwide.
What would that do? That would just be the biometrics again, right?
Well, first of all, the biometrics. So why ask the person to come to the island? Let them go to VFS. They'll give it. They'll be supervised while they're giving their electronic signature, fingerprints, and a digital photo. So at least now we know with the very high standards that this is the person that has applied, and is the same entity that does it for Western countries, UK, Canada, the Schengen area countries. So that will satisfy it. But on top of it, companies like VFS or BLS, what they do also, they also verify that the forms were properly filled. So
Right.
everything's there. And they also
Right.
ensure that the required documents are there. And actually they'll make sure that they have seen the originals. So once copies or translations are sent, they could actually, testify about the fact that, well, we have seen the originals.
Yeah.
That would
Well,
satisfy
yes.
that criteria.
Yeah.
But I think there's a second element here. The second element which has upset the Europeans, and that was evident in the court decision of April 2025 in regard to Malta. Their objection was that this issue of nationality should not be commoditized. It's not like you walk in a shopping the grocery store alley and then you just look at the shelf and pick up a cereal box and then go, and then on exit pay the price. That's not citizenship, and that's the form we have given it to now. If you qualify, if you're a good character, no due diligence is perfect, well, yeah, you pay money, you get it. But the Europeans are saying, no, there should be some genuine links with that country. And that's why the second reason why the residency is there is because they want to make sure the person was there, and there has been a courtship between the country and the new citizen. And I think in that case, then with this spirit, these people should come in while they're residents or while they're applying for citizenship, rather than waiting till the whole thing is solved. They're a citizen, they have their passport, and now they come in as a citizen.
Yeah, well, it takes away the complete passive element that the CBI programs are known for. But let me also ask you, will there be a requirement to do anything more than just reside and have your biometrics done?
Well, yes, of course, they want people to show a little more attachments, language issues, culture issues, understanding the laws. They're trying to make it look more that they had done something, which I think, again, and in a post citizenship, it looks like more, it looks more like maquillage, you try to satisfy someone superficially. I had suggested all along that this process should be done in a three-stage, which is a more credible path. First there's rigorous due diligence, and then there's an initial residency permit. Then during a certain period, they should show integration and presence. Now that could be days, weeks, months, and they should hold it for a certain period. And then step 3, once they have hold their residency for a certain period, then they will be eligible for citizenship. And it will not just be days. There will be maybe a small test, understanding of the culture, understanding of the laws would be applied, Very much like Canada, for example, you have those 20-odd questions you have to answer. If you're within a certain age limit, you have to pass a very simple language test. If you're above a certain age, well, you're exempted from the language test. I think it's the same thing in the U.S.
Well, history has shown also that eventually the market does adapt. And as long as it's not too onerous, do you think that this is not going to hurt the industry too much?
Well, in my opinion, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt, at least definitively on the short term. On the long term, well, there's the market would adapt definitively. There's going to be an increase. But that would depend on other countries coming into the market, or how well the Caribbeans are going to keep ranked. For example, you look at it last year, previous to June 2024, there was heavy discounting going on and everybody had a race to the bottom. Then they decided in June to stop this discounting procedure, which was a great decision. Was it well implemented? No, we still see prices well below they're required. I mean, one of our colleagues today in LinkedIn mentioned that she has seen someone being offered the $30,000.
Oh, gosh.
Is it true? Is it not? I don't know. But I mean, why would anyone dare saying that? But that being said, are they going to keep rank in making sure that everybody complies with the residency requirement, or if there's a language requirement, to keep that minimum, presence and all these things? I don't know. It's definitely going to be implemented because they need to implement it to satisfy the U.S. authorities, because that has nothing to do with CBI. It has to do with satisfying local population.
Right.
Then they have to also do something to keep what they have, which is UK and Schengen. UK, I think, in my opinion, is going to be easier to settle because they are part of the same union, the Commonwealth.
Yes.
So there could be negotiation and settlement. Plus, UK has not seemed to be actively engaging the citizenship programs of this Caribbean, except Dominica. And I think pretty hopeful that Dominica would solve that issue as well. The only variable that I don't know where it's going to go will be the Schengen zone decisions as to, are they going to penalize the Caribbean citizenship program or not? I think the new Eastern Caribbean CBI Regulation Authorities legislation is a step in the right direction, introducing a central oversight, uniform standards, and enforceable compliance. However, implementation, willingness to embrace genuine reforms, not just minimum residency, especially after citizenship, will determine the long-term viability of these programs.
Yeah. Great thoughts, Sam. Keep them up, and we'll get back and discuss when we hear how other countries are implementing all of these reforms, and if there's any backlash from either the US or the UK or the Schengen. Yeah. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Mona. Thank you for having me. It's always a great pleasure to speak to you. Your questions are always on the dot.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Global Investment Voice. A huge thank you to all our listeners for tuning in and sharing this journey with us. Curious about unlocking the potential of global migration and citizenship? Make sure to visit us online at mshawlaw.com and globalinvestmentvoice.com. Dive into our extensive library of podcast episodes. Stay ahead with the latest in migration news by signing up for our insider newsletter. Don't forget to connect with us on social media. Find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook to keep the conversation going. Remember, the insights shared in our podcast are for informational purposes only, so please seek tailored legal, financial, or investment advice where needed. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep investing smart and living well with Global Investment Voice. We'll see you on the next episode.